Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to part 2 of the second winter 2021-2022 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, it's time to bring you another winter update. This is the second part of the second winter update. We released part 1 yesterday, looking at things like sea survey, temperature, solar activity, Eurasian snow cover, Arctic surface extent, all of that sort of stuff was yesterday. And today, for part 2, this is like the analog side of the second winter update. We've got a lot to go. We've got 3 sets of analogues looking at August to winter data for this one. So we've got a lot to show you, got a lot to get through, got 90 tabs open, so this is a true Gav epic, I can tell you that, and I'm going to go through everything that we're looking at, you know, in a moment for you. Just say that the first video release today was our 7 AM upload. We've also released a 10 to 14 day as well. And if you have not yet caught up with part 1 of this second winter update, then you can find it on the YouTube homepage within the winter updates playlist. So, you know, it's there on demand. Catch up whenever you want with the first part 1 of the second winter 2021-2022 update. I've got to say thank you so much to Rich and to Shrine. So thank you so much to Rich of the fantastic, wonderful, lovely winter updates gear. Thank you so much, Rich. I love this year's winter updates gear. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much to Shrine Bruin as well for getting all of these years together for us. So, so you know, this is a true epic. Shrine has worked so hard on sorting out all of the years for us. So thank you so much to Shrine, and thank you so much to Rich for all of the work and all of the effort, you know, on this second winter 2021-2022 update. And I think that's everything I'm going to tell you, so I think better get on. We've got, as I say, got 90 tabs to go through, so it is going to be a true epic. Just say that next week, the beginning of part 1 of the third winter update, I will have the date for you with that one. You know, I'll have the date when we are going to be releasing our winter forecast. You'll find out next week the exact date we're going to release our winter forecast. And also, Richard's swingometer be revealed at the beginning of part 1 of the third winter update as well. Haven't seen that so far. We need a couple of updates before we can do it, but you will see the swingometer for the first time next week. I'm getting ahead of myself, but we've got this update to go through. So let's crack on, shall we? So we're going to begin by having a look at the central temperature for August. So this is CT page at the UK Met. We can see that the central temperature came out at 15.8, just 0.1 of a degree above the 61 to 1990 average, actually a little bit below the 81 to 2010 average. So yeah, you know, it was quite a coolish August, really, by modern standards. And so for the first set of analogues for this second winter update, we're going to be looking at winters following August with a CT range of 15.7 to 15.9. I'm going to turn on the webcam as we go through these. Right, let's do this then. The first winter that we're looking at following an August with a CT range of 15.7, 15.9 is winter of 1837-1838. This is it just here, with above average heights blocking around Greenland and back into the Arctic. Below average heights, low pressure across northern West Europe, and winds are in from an east or northeast direction. So we start with what looks like a cold winter there, 1837, 1838. Another cold winter signal here for 1840, 1841. Masses of northern blocking within the high latitudes, particularly focused around Greenland, Iceland. Deep trough of low pressure across West Europe, winds in from an east or northeast direction. That looks like it would be a solidly cold winter for 1840, 1841. It does follow in August with a CT range of 15.7 to 15.9. Our next winter is going to be 1852, 1853. This one, again, with quite a lot of northern blocking, extending back into the Arctic with below average heights across western parts of Europe. So again, that looks like it could be quite a coldish winter. Probably not as cold as the other two, but probably cold signals there with that one. You want to send that trough a little bit further southwards, though, to be a classic cold setup. Our next winter is going to be 1855, 1856. This one, again, with high pressure around Greenland and Iceland, low pressure to our south, and winds again in from an easterly direction. You expect that to be quite a coolish or even pretty cold winter yet again. Then we move on to 1861, 1862. So many from the 1800s with this set of analogues. This is with loads and loads of blocking within the high latitudes. We see jet stream southwards with below pressures as well. So jet stream goes on northwest southeast alignment. And courtesy of that non-blocking, we're probably driving in cold or even very cold northeast winds. That does look like it would be a pretty bitter winter to me. 1861. 1862. Our next winter is 1870. 1871. This one does have some blocking, but far less of it. With a trough of low pressure, trough of low across Western Europe. I think just generally quite an unsettled and probably not overly cold winter mountain. Probably quite a wet winter though. Our next winter is going to be 1886, 1887. So this one has below average heights around Greenland, Iceland, and also probably bringing in a bit of a westerly flow with that one. So that could be a rather milder winter, maybe the mildest winter that we've seen within this set so far. Then we've got 1887, 1888, just 1 year on. Have another August student year, 15.7 to 15.9. This one is a cold winter. This one has a mid-Atlantic ridge extending back to northern blocking with below average heights to our south and east. And again, in come those winds from an east or northeasterly direction. Pretty cold and wintry, especially cold later in December around Christmas and New Year of 1887, 1888. Very bitter easterlies around that point. Then we got winter of 1895, 1896. This one is more anticyclonic. The first sort of anticyclonic winter that we've seen so far, I think, with above average heights over and to our west. It's generally a reasonably quiet and pretty mild winter for 1895 to 1896. A long gap then. Next time we have an August city range of 50.7 to 50.9 is 1919. This is the winter of 1919, 1920. Mild, wet and windy with low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south, and in comes those west winds. It's a cold autumn in 1919, but the winter itself of 1919, 1920 is mild and zonal. And then we've got winter of 1927, 1928. This is a little bit of a teaser with below average heights out to our west and above average heights over Scandinavia. So overall, it is an Atlantic-driven winter and a reasonably mild winter too, but it does have a cold December and a classic white Christmas. We have lots of easterly winds by the Scandinavian high in December 1927, culminating in a true classic white Christmas for many parts of lowland southern England. And then it falls out around the new year of 1928, and once it goes, and the cold does not return. The cold does not return. The rest of winter is generally mild. Our next winter is 1930, 1931. This one looks a little bit on the cool side as well, with below average heights in across the northwest Europe and above average heights pulled out into the middle of the Atlantic. I don't think it's a particularly cold winter, but I think there's cold snaps involved in that one. The next winter is 1945, 1946. This again a little bit of a teaser type winter. It has got a blocking signal, although overall it's generally a reasonably mild winter. There are one or two easterly incursions in January of 1946. And then we're into 1950. So our next winter is going to be 1952, 1953. This one has above average heights out to our west and below average heights to our south and southeast. We bring wind in from sort of a northwesterly direction, actually, a lot of the time with this wind. So not a particularly cold winter, but it does have a few cold snaps involved. The next winter is 1958, 1959. This one with above average heights up towards Iceland, below average heights out to west. That's a cold January in 1959. Otherwise, the rest of the winter is not overly cold. Then we've got 1967, 1968 following August city range of 15.7 to 15.9. This one, a little bit of a colder winter again, with above average heights again extending northwards up towards Greenland in the middle of the Atlantic, below average heights to our east. Again, winds coming in from a bit of a northerly direction. 1967, 1968 does have regular cold snaps, particularly through January and February of 1968. 1980, 1981 is our next winter. This one with above average heights in the middle of the Atlantic, below average heights to our north, northeast, semi-projection on the northwest, southeast line. Cold snaps are involved in that winter, especially I think in February of 1981. So yeah, it does have its moments, but overall not remembered as a particularly cold winter. Next up, we have 82-83. So this one is a very westerly type winter early on, December and into January of 82 to 1983 is generally quite mild, and early January 1983 also very stormy. Gets much colder later on in the winter with easterly winds in February of 1983. That's the coldest month of that winter. Does coincide with a big El Nino as well. Long gap then through to 1998, 1999. So this one is just generally quite a mild sort of westerly zonal 1990s winters. Many of them were in the 1990s. So this one with above average heights to our west and southwest, below average heights to west and northwest. We bring wind in from the Atlantic. There are cold snaps during January and February of 1999. There's a little bit of snow, especially for more northern areas. But overall, it's a pretty mild 1990s winter, so many of them were. And then we go through to winter 2015-16. That is the last time, I think, but we have an August with a city range from 15.7 to 15.9. This, of course, exceptionally mild winter with below average heights to our north and west, above average heights to our south and southwest. We drag in the wind a lot of the time anyway from the Canary Islands, from Bermuda, from the Bahamas, those sort of areas. Especially so, particularly so in December of 2015, which of course is an extraordinarily warm month. I say warm rather than mild because it is, genuinely an extraordinarily warm December. We have had like Mays that have been colder than December 2015. It's an absolutely extraordinary month. Right, so let's put all this together. This is how all Decembers combined are looking following an August city range of 15.7 to 15.9. This one has a mid-Atlantic ridge favoured in December up towards Greenland with below average heights to our east and south. Winds in from the north, so there is a little bit of cold potential, with those Decembers actually following that August CT range. The next month is January. This is how all Januaries combined are looking following August CT range from 15.7 to 15.9. Again, a bit of a mid-Atlantic type ridge pattern, but I think it's a little bit more westerly, this, as we send the trough of low pressure more out towards the east-southeastern part of Europe. So I reckon after that cooler potential for December, January probably reverts a little bit more to a westerly type flow, to be honest. And they go through to all Februaries combined, following August CT range from 15.7 to 15.9. Rather different month, pattern for this month, with above average heights then to our northwest. More of an anti-cyclone signal, so it's a slightly drier signal, and probably favouring like a westerly, northwesterly type flow. Again, I don't think it's particularly cold. I think the coldest signal there is going to be in December, but January and February I don't think are particularly cold signals, to be honest. This is how all winters combined are looking following August city range of 15.7 to 15.9. And again, mid-Atlantic ridge heading up towards some Greenland, below average heights to our south and east, and again, incoming those northeast winds. A lot of that is down to what's happening in December, though. I reckon the winter probably gets progressively milder a lot of the time. Of course, you had loads and loads and loads of years with this analogues package in the 1800s, so let's take all of those out and just have a look at the years after 1950, more relevant to the current climate. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking, following August city range of 15.7 to 15.9, post-1950, very westerly. So we have high pressure around the Azores, low pressure between Iceland and Scandinavia, and we bring in the wind from the west. So very much signaling like westerlies, Atlantic-driven, mild, wet and windy December. All January's combined, probably line checks up a little bit northwest-southeast after 1950. So again, we have got this high pressure in the Atlantic, but the low pressure digging into eastern northeast Europe probably does send the jet stream a little bit more northwest-southeast. So some slightly cooler potential, maybe some cold snaps in there in those Januaries. But generally, it's not a classic cold signal again. And then all Februaries combined, post-1950, look like that. So, again, same sort of idea. It's a drier month, I think, with the ridge of high pressure in the Atlantic extending into the UK. Probably, again, around that ridge, we bring in the wind from like a northwesterly direction. So there might be a little bit of cold snap potential, but I do not think this particular batch of analogues is particularly conducive to a cold winter. You know, from this CT range. And then finally, this is how all winters combined, I should say, are looking following August CT range of 15.7 to 15.9. So, bit of mid-Atlantic ridge, low pressure to our east. We could send a jet stream on a northwest-southeast alignment and bring some cold snaps, if nothing else. And that would be most likely, I would have thought, in January, out of all of the months. But not true classic northern blocking, so not a bitterly cold signal for these particular winters following that particular CT range. Right, so that's it for the first set, man. I've got 2 more sets to show you. I shall pause the video there. You go and stretch your legs, get yourself a cup of tea as you're watching this on Monday evening, maybe a glass of something a little bit stronger, who knows. It's allowed, you know, it's Monday evening, why not kick back and enjoy. But I shall see you in a second, and we'll go through the second batch of analogues for this part 2 of this second winter 2021 update. See you soon. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume the second part of part 2 of the second winter 2021 update. I hope you're able to follow that. It's all the twos, so I hope you're able to follow that. It is part 2 of the second part of the second winter 2021-2022 update. Wow, what a mouthful that is. So I hope you're able to follow all that. Right, in the first part of the video, we were talking about the CT August CT to winter data. Now we're going to show you England and Wales precipitation for August to winter data. So let's do this. Let's do it. Right. No, we don't want to go there. I want to go there. Right. Okay. So we're going to go to. You've already seen what the first analog's going to be there, haven't you? Right. So a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a sneaky peek. Right. So this is the England and Wales precipitation page at the UK Met. Of course, England and Wales precipitation is one of the oldest indexes, you know, for precipitation going all the way back to 1766. That particular year just there, which actually has a very dry January, just 4.4 millimeters. Wow, drought in that first month of the first year. Right, let's go down through the centuries anyway. Never mind about that. Let's go down through the centuries and whatnot, and we come down to 2021. There it is. So we can see that for August 2021, we actually have an England Wales precipitation of 54.6 millimeters. Pretty dry August, actually. 54.6 millimeters, way below, you know, last year when we had 125.2 millimeters in August 2020. Anyway, so the second batch of analogues is going to be looking at winters following August with an England-Wales precipitation range of 48 to 60 millimeters. Here we go then. So we begin with our first year, which is 1847-1848. This one again has high latitude blocking with below average heights across north and west Europe. It looks like it should be a cold winter, that, doesn't it? It looks like it should be pretty cold to start us off. Our next winter is 1849-1850. This one again with mid-Atlantic ridge extending back to some blocking to the north, below average heights to our east. And again, winds coming in from a northerly, northeasterly direction. Cold snap potential with that one, if not a classic. Our next winter is 1854-1855. I think this is a genuinely cold winter with mid-Atlantic ridge up towards northern blocking, below average heights to our east and northeast. Again, winds in from a northeasterly direction. Looks like that's a very cold winter for 1854-1855. Then got 1855-1856. It showed up earlier. It's back with above average heights around Greenland and Iceland, below average heights to our south and east. Again, it looks like that's a pretty cold winter as well, doesn't it? With winds in from the east. We've got 1861-1862 showing up again. So this one once more has this strong northern blocking to our north with below average heights to the south. Again, winds are in from an easterly direction. We've had another cold winter signal there in the middle of the Victorian era. And we've got 1870-1871. Again, we're blocking to the north and below average heights to the south. The blocking is weak thicker though, so I don't think that is a particularly cold winter. Probably quite a wet one though. We've got 1871, 1872, also looking like a very wet winter. This was probably quite mild as well, with below average heights over to the west of the country, and we're bringing in winds from off the Atlantic. Oh, let's put the webcam back up, shall we? Hello, I'm back. Right, let's carry on, let's persevere. We've got 1886, 1887, it's back. It was there earlier, it's back again with below. Interesting how the CT and the England weather precipitation like tallying up for these earlier winters, isn't it? So, a bit of a westerly type winter, I think, this one. Not overly cold with that one. However, here it is again, 1887, 1888. This is a cold winter. It showed up twice. Pretty big hurricane season as well, I think, with this one. Has above average heights in the Atlantic, going back to Greenland, below average heights across southern Europe, and income winds from the east. That's a cold winter for 1887, 1888. Quite a long gap then through to 1911, 1912. This one with lots of low pressure in the Atlantic and income westerly winds. That's a mild wet winter for 1911, 1912. We've got 1920, 1921 showing up following August, anywhere a precipitation range of 46 to 60 millimeters. And this one much more anticyclonic. I haven't seen many anticyclonic winters so far with this second winter update. But here we go. This is an anticyclonic one, relatively mild and dry with winter of 1920, 1921. And then we've got 1932, 1933. This is quite a coldish winter with high pressure sitting to our east. It's a dry winter as well. It's in the middle of like a prolonged dry period that we have in the early 1930s. So quite a cold but dry winter with that. Well, not severely cold, you know, but it's a little bit cooler, particularly for the era. And we've got 1949, 1950. This one is just generally mild, wet and windy with low pressure in off the Atlantic. So nothing doing there from a cold perspective. We've got 1964, 1965. This is quite a cold winter, especially later on. Has above average heights in the Atlantic up towards Greenland, below average heights for our east and south. And winds tend to be coming in from the northeast. I think December 1964 is quite mild, but January, February, and you know, particularly later on in February into March 1965, regular cold interludes, quite a lot of cold and snowy weather in that winter, as many of the 1960s winters were though. They've got 1975, 1976. It's a very mild and dry winter in the midst of the great drought. You know, it's not only the summers that are very dry, it's also the winters too. So this one, anticyclonic high pressure, more or less over the top of the country, just a very dry and mild winter, that one in 75, 76. And I've got a proper cold winter. We've got 84, 85 following August, England weather precipitation range of 48 to 60 millimeters. This one does have genuine blocking, you know, to the north, proper northern blocking around Svalbard with low pressure. I'm so sorry, buddy. Low pressure to our south. Winds are in from an easterly direction. That's a proper, genuinely cold winter. It hasn't marked December in 1984, but when it gets cold around the new year, it really sets up, and January and February both have loads of snow in 1985 and lots of cold weather. Back to very mild weather in the next one. This is 89-90, 1989-1990. This is a very mild and wet winter, quite a stormy winter too, especially so in February of 1990, but is exceptionally mild. We've got 93-94, which is also a very wet 1990s winter. So many of them were. Does have a little bit more cold potential, you know, a few cold snaps in that one, especially around Christmas of 93 and again in February of 94. Not remembered as a particularly cold winter though. We've got 98-99 showing up once again. We already spoke about that one. So higher pressure to our west and southwest, lower pressure to our north and northeast, winds in from the west. There are some cold snaps, but overall it is a mild 1990s winter. Right, let's put all of those years together and see what we come out with, what happens. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking following August. England weather precipitation range of 48 to 60 millimeters. Generally mild and wet signal for these Decembers with below average heights to the west of Europe. Very little else to say about it, really. Just a mild wet signal for those Decembers. This is how all January's combined are looking following this England Wales precipitation range. We do raise the heights within the high latitudes, so yes, we have got some proper blocking there, sending the jet stream and the low pressure southwards. There is colder potential for those Januaries, actually. And then this is how all February's combined are looking following that August England Wales precipitation range. And again, sort of high pressure around Greenland, Iceland, but weaker, much weaker compared to January, with low pressure to the south. It looks like I've got a negative NAO going on there, so there could be some colder potential for the February's as well. All winters combined look like that. So yeah, you know, it's a bit of a cold signal actually, this, with the precipitation side of things, with higher pressure within the high latitudes, lower pressure to the south. So you could envisage that there's a chance of colder weather, especially so, I think, in January, but also to some degree in February, not in December though. Again, in this analogues package, there was lots of years from the 1800s, so let's take all of those out and see how it comes out post-1950. So this is it. This is how all Decembers combined are looking following an August England Wales precipitation range of 48-60 millimeters post-1950. It's mild Atlantic-driven, low pressure to the north, high pressure to our west-southwest. Winds are in from the west. A mild December to start us off. This is how all Januaries combined look post-1950. Still a little bit of cold potential. We have got blocking, although it is more over towards the Eurasian side of the Arctic, really less so around the Greenland, Iceland side. But average heights over into our east and northeast. It's probably still quite Atlantic driven, that, but there could be some cooler snap potential in there. But again, it's not a classic cold signal, that, not a classic cold signal. And then it's how all February's combined look post-1950, with higher pressure sort of building through the northwest of Europe. So again, you might be able to envisage that we bring in the wind from the northeast a little bit there. There might be a little bit of cold snap potential, but it is not a classic cold setup, probably just reverting to like a drier and sort of average type February pattern. And then all winters combined following August England Wales precipitation range of 48 to 60 millimeters post 1950 look like that, with the below average heights to our east and northeast. Some, you know, just quite unsettled, particularly so in December, particularly mild and wet signal for December. Some colder, cooler snapping to lose for January and February, but not classic, not a classic signal for those winters after 1950, following that August England Wales precipitation range. So far, it's not been a huge amount doing with this update, I have to say, if you like cold weather, if you want a cold winter. We'll see what the third and final batch of analogues has to say in a second. I'll talk you through those in a mo. I'll just pause the video very shortly, and I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to show you the third and final set of analogues for this second winter 2021-2022 update. If you enjoyed the video so far, please can you smash that like button, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You're going to be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates, if you do that, and drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much for doing this for GavsWeatherVids. I hope you're enjoying part 2 of the second Winter 21-22 update. Right, okay, let's have a look at this final set of analogues then. So for this one, we're going to be looking at, sunshine or cloud cover, I suppose. So let's just zoom this out. So this is how August sunshine duration looks in terms of anomalies to average set against the 81 to 2010 average. You can see that it was a very, very dull August, especially so for England and Wales, but also eastern parts of Scotland as well. Some areas getting 50 to 30% of their average sunshine, just the far west of Scotland standing out as having a slightly sunnier than average month. But this really was a very, very dull August, and so it's actually in the top 20 dullest August. And you'll remember when we did our final autumn update, we did look at autumns following the top 20 dullest August. We was projecting them. We did not know if for certain if August 2021 would come out within the top 20 dullest. Indeed, it has come out within the top 20 dollars, so the projection was pretty good there from Shryan. And so we're going to do exactly what we did for the final autumn update, but for this winter update, instead of looking at autumns, we're going to be looking at winters. We're going to look at winters following the top 20 dollars. I'll leave webcam on. Following the top 20 dollars August. And just to say with this, it only goes back to 1909, so we don't go into the 1800s with this one. Right, so here we go, pot pickers. At number 20, we've got 1946. The 20th dullest August is in fact August 1946. This is the winter of 1946-1947 looks. It's exceptionally cold and snowy, with high pressure blocking to our north and low pressure pushed down to our south, and winds are in from the east. Not particularly cold in December, but does have a few easterly outbreaks, but it really gets going from around 20th January onwards, and then we're locked in right way through to the middle of March, locked into severe cold and very, very, very snowy conditions as well. At number 19, we've got 2006. This is our winter of 2006-2007 looks complete opposite of 47. So this one with high pressure to the south and low pressure to the north, and in come those very mild west and southwesterly winds. At number 18, we've got 1925. This is how the winter of 1925-1926 is looking. I'm trying to get a little bit giddy. Right, so this one has low pressure domination in of the Atlantic. So this is a mild and wet winter again for 1925 to 1926 at number 18. At number 17, wow, this is it. We've got 1957. The 17th dullest August is 1957. This is how winter of 57-58 looks. This is a colder winter, actually, especially late on. Has a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge with low pressure over Scandinavia, winds in from the north to northwest. Pretty mild in December of 57. It starts getting colder as the winter progresses. And at number 16, we've got 1986. So the 16th dullest August is in fact 1986. This is our winter of 86-87 lots. This has got a lot of high pressure blocking to our north, and we're bringing in winds from the northeast. Very mild in December of 86. I mean, it has the coldest spell of weather, single coldest spell of weather, probably since 1740 in the middle of January 1987. Wow, so many of you remember that, I know. At number 15, we've got winter of 1971-1972. This one's just another one of those mild early 1970s winters, ready with high pressure way to our east, low pressure in from the Atlantic. Not much doing in that one if you want cold weather. At number 14, we've got 1943-1944. This is quite a mild winter as well, with high pressure over and to the west of the country. Relatively dry, but pretty mild. Number 13, there it is, 2021. The 13th dullest August is, yes, 2021. What will winter 21-22 have in store? Questions, questions, questions. We shall see. Time will tell. And then at number 12, we've got 1920-1921. It's back. So this one, again, be above average heights over to the east of the country. So it's a dry and mild winter in 1920 and 1921. And then we've got 2011-2012 at number 11, interestingly. This one has above average heights just to our west. Tropical low pressure across East Europe. It's a brutal cold winter in the east and the southeast Europe. Extraordinarily cold for the Balkans. For us in the UK, it's pretty mild, but we do have one really cold spell in early February of 2012. Otherwise, it's actually a rather milder winter within an otherwise colder period. Remember, from 08-09 to 12-13, there are many cold winters, but that's one, we have that year off and have a milder winter with the cold weather shoved over into the east and southeast of Europe. Right, this is how number 10 is looking. It's 1980, 1981. It's back again. So this one, again, will be above average heights out to our west, and below average heights to our east, winds in from a northwesterly direction. Look at that, everyone. Just have some cold snaps as the winter progresses. Right, the top 10 now. So at number 9, the 9th dullest August is 1978. It's how the winter of 1978-1979 looks. It's a cold winter, winter of discontent, blocking around Greenland. Low pressure with a jet stream shoved southwards. So yeah, lots of snow, lots of very cold weather. The last time we had a sub-zero CT January was in 1979. And there it is, following the 9th dullest August. I get the feeling this set of analogues is a little bit more conducive if you want colder weather. What do you think, everybody? Let's see how it all comes together, though. At number 8, we've got 1922. So the winter of 1922-1923 is mild and wet. Most of the winters in the 1920s, were mild. That's another one of them. Number 7, we've got 1924-1925. This one, another mild 1920s winter. How strange, isn't it? But 1920s had so many dull Augusts. They really suffered, didn't they, in the 1920s with their Augusts? I wonder why. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. This one's just mild, wet again. Low pressure in off the Atlantic for the winter of 1924-1925. 1958-1959. Is showing up again with some higher pressure towards our northwest, lower pressure to our southwest, and winds coming in for a little bit more of an easterly type direction with that one. So it does have a cold January. Top 5 now. At number 5, we've got 1954, 1955. This is another cold winter with high pressure to the south of Greenland, low pressure to our south and east, and winds in from more of a northeasterly direction. The 5th dullest August is 1954, and winter of 1954-1955 is looking pretty cold, especially in January and February. We've got 1963-1964 showing up next. Follows the Daddy, it's a winter that comes straight after the Daddy. Generally a dry winter. A few cold snaps in there, but, it's a forgotten winter because of what happened in the winter before. And from the 1960s, probably one of the milder winters, actually, despite that high pressure seemingly centered around Iceland. Right, top 3. At number 3, we've got 1942. So 1942-1943. That winter is just generally mild, wet, zonal winds in from the west. At number 2, we've got 1948. This is another mild winter with high pressure across western parts of Europe, low pressure around Greenland and Iceland. That's a drier mild winter. Now, do you remember what was number 1? What was number 1? What's the dullest August on record back to 1909? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There it is. It's 2008. Yes, 2008 is the dullest August on record back to 1909. The winter of 08-09 is a classic teaser winter with above average heights to our north, below average heights to our south, winds in from the east. It's not a particularly severely cold winter, but it's certainly colder compared to winters before, and it starts off the run of cold winters, and the following winter, of course, 09-10, going to be much, much colder. But that one does have some cold and snow, especially focused on the first half of February 2009. Okay, let's start putting all of those years together then and see what happens. So this is how all Decembers combined are looking following the top 20 dullest August. Mild, wet signal for these Decembers. Winds in from off the Atlantic. So a mild and wet signal for the Decembers. All Januaries combined following the top 20 dullest August. Looks like that, with above average heights out to our west, below average heights to our east. So it's a cooler signal for those Januaries. Probably not overly cold, but it is a cooler signal for those Januaries, with winds tend to be a little bit more northwesterly based. February looks the best if you want a cold, month. So this is how all February's combined are looking, following the top 20 dullest August. And we really raise the heights around Greenland and Iceland. We send low pressure and the jet stream southwards, and you can certainly see that we could pull in easterly winds. So February clearly coming out on top, following the top 20 dullest August as having the greatest cold potential. All winters combined look like that, but I'm not sure how useful this is, given that every month varies. So we know December has a very mild zonal wet look about it, and February has a much drier but much colder look about it. Overall, we do see a bit of blocking within the high latitudes and lower pressure to our south, but remember there's a lot of intra-month variation going on. Last thing we'll look at is the years after 1950. So this is how all Decembers combined look for following the top 20 dullest August post 1950 makes no difference really for December. It's still overall a mild, wet, zonal, Atlantic-driven signal with winds in from the west along with the jet stream. But look what happens in January. And you wouldn't really believe this. You would think, you know, after 1950, the signal would get milder. Actually, after 1950, from the top 20 dullest August, the signal is much more strongly in favour of a cold January, with above average heights going up towards Greenland and the below average heights to our east and south and winds in from that northeasterly direction. That's probably because we have 1959, 1979 and 1987 in the pack, but it is striking, isn't it, how after after 1950, but the blocking signal gets much stronger, and the cold signal gets much stronger for January after 1950. Who would have believed that would happen? No real difference for February, so February remains as it was with the overall analogues package after 1950, still with that high pressure blocking around Greenland and Iceland, still sending the low pressure southwards, still bringing in winds from the east. So February still favours a cold month, but the difference after 1950 is that January also joins the party. And then finally, this is how all winters combined are looking from the top 20 dullest August post-1950, by the way, pop figures. So we tend to have no, I haven't done that, have I? We have mid-Atlantic ridge up towards Greenland. So definitely some double blocking with low pressure to our south, winds in from the east to northeast direction. Cold winter signal there following the top 20 dullest August post 1950. Bear in mind, December is mild and wet, but certainly January and February signal to be cold and, you know, potentially wintry there after the top 20 dullest August. Who would have believed that post 1950? Who would have believed it? Who would have believed that? Everyone. Who would have believed it? Ooh, I don't know. Right, that's it then. We're done. That's it. We're done for the second winter 2021-2022 update in two parts. Both parts are complete, and so there we go. Part 2 is done, and now we should be moving on to part 3. And as I said at the start of the video, the first thing I'm going to tell you at the beginning of part 3 next Sunday. So that'll be that will be the third Winter 2021-2022 update, part 1. You see what I mean? The first thing, it gets a bit complicated, doesn't it? First thing I'm going to tell you at the beginning of that on Sunday morning will be the date that we will be releasing the GavsWeatherVids Winter 2022 forecast, and then you will see straight after that, first thing you'll see will be the swingometer from Richard. So you're going to find out how these two winter updates that we've done so far, how they are looking in terms of the swingometer. Will the swingometer be favouring a cold winter after 2 updates? Will it be favouring a mild winter after 2 updates? You'll see that. That's the very first thing you see at the beginning of the third winter update, part 1. Right, we're done. So we get through 90 tabs in 42 minutes. What do you think about that, everybody? It's an epic. Wasn't epic, wasn't it? I hope you enjoyed it. Please smash your like button if you did. Make sure you sub to the channel. You're going to be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates. And drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Right, so I shall see you next week for the third winter update in 2 parts. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.